A $10,000 decision quietly separates two futures. One ends near $400,000. The other ends with stress that never shows up on a balance sheet. Two people start identical, same income, same age, same chance. Yet one of them ends up financially compressed, the other expands into something entirely different. The first is Daniel. His morning begins with a glowing phone screen before his feet touch the floor. Price charts, notifications, and a stream of financial noise hit him within seconds. He holds accounts across multiple platforms, each promising control. Instead, he gets fragmentation. Every decision feels urgent. Every headline feels like information he must act on immediately. On one random morning, he buys into a stock after seeing a spike on social media. The chart looks unstoppable. It is not. A few months later, the same position drops sharply during a market shock. He sells. The app confirms the loss instantly. No warning, just numbers changing. This cycle repeats for years. Not once, but hundreds of times. Roughly 6,000 trades accumulate across 2 decades, each one feeling like adjustment, not damage. Meanwhile, across town, Karen opens a brokerage account once. The interface is simple, almost underwhelming. There is no excitement in it. She places $10,000 into a single broad market fund linked to the U.S. economy. One decision. No second screen. No strategy tab. Then she sets a monthly transfer of $100. The app confirms it. She closes it and forgets the login screen exists. Over time, Daniel feels busy. Activity creates the illusion of control. Screens, alerts, and podcasts fill every gap of silence. Karen rarely looks, sometimes not for months. The account exists in the background of her life, like a utility bill she never thinks about. The difference is not effort. It is direction of effort. One is constant interference. The other is deliberate absence. After 10 years, Daniel has accumulated experience, opinions, and transaction history. Karen has accumulated compounding. At a 10% average annual growth rate, $10,000 becomes roughly $25,900 in a decade. That is the beginning of exponential divergence. Daniel's outcome is not a straight loss. It is volatility plus friction. Each trade carries hidden cost. Timing error, emotional exit, missed recovery. Karen's account does something boring. It repeats the same behavior 120 times a year without emotional input. It just stays invested. The S&P 500 index represents this underlying system of 500 large companies. It does not predict. It reflects. Over long periods, historical averages sit near 10 to 11% nominal annual return, depending on measurement window. That number sounds small until compounding begins stacking it across decades. After 20 years, $10,000 grows to roughly $67,300 if left untouched. No genius required. No timing advantage. At the same time, Daniel's returns are interrupted repeatedly by exits and re-entries. Each interruption resets compounding momentum. The psychological trap is simple. Movement feels like progress. Stillness feels like neglect. In reality, the system rewards stillness and punishes interference. At this stage, a second hidden layer appears. Fees. Even a 1% annual fee sounds harmless on paper. But over 40 years, it quietly removes over $100,000 from a growing balance. Index funds like Vanguard or Fidelity Investments reduce that friction to near zero levels, often around 0.03 to 0.1%. That difference is not cosmetic. It compounds every single year against itself. Daniel is paying friction in 3 directions at once: fees, behavior, and timing error. Karen is paying almost none of those costs. The uncomfortable truth begins forming here. Effort is not the input that matters most in long-term investing. Time inside the system is. After 30 years, the gap stops looking like a difference and starts looking like a separation. $10,000 at 10% annual growth becomes roughly $174,500 before any additional contributions. This is where most people misunderstand compounding. The early years feel slow enough to discourage continuation. The final years accelerate so sharply they feel almost unreal. The Rule of 72 explains part of this. At 10% return, money doubles roughly every 7.2 years. That means 10,000 becomes 20,000, then 40,000, then 80,000 without any new input. Daniel experiences constant emotional resets during these cycles. Each downturn feels like a decision point. Karen experiences none of that. Her account does not ask questions. At year 39, the same initial 10,000 approaches roughly $400,000 if uninterrupted. The difference is no longer intelligence. It is tolerance for boredom. And boredom, in financial systems, is a form of discipline most people cannot maintain. By year 40, the difference between Daniel and Karen is no longer visible in behavior, only in outcomes. Daniel is still trying to optimize. Karen stopped optimizing decades ago. One of them is constantly adjusting knobs on a system that does not respond to skill. The other stopped touching the machine entirely. At this point, $10,000 at a 10% long-term return reaches roughly $450,000 with simple compounding. That number is not built on intelligence. It is built on absence of interruption. Most people never see this clearly because they confuse activity with progress. Daniel feels informed. He consumes market news daily. His brain is saturated with financial input. Karen feels nothing most of the time. That emotional gap is the entire story. One of the most brutal realities in investing is that attention is not rewarded. In fact, attention is often punished through overreaction. A sudden 20% drop in the market feels like a signal. In reality, it is noise inside a long upward trend. During the 2008 financial crisis, the S&P 500 dropped roughly 56% from peak to bottom. Many investors sold near the bottom. That decision permanently locked in losses. A decade later, the index had recovered and surpassed previous highs multiple times over. The people who did nothing outperformed the people who tried to protect themselves. This is where Daniel's story bends permanently downward. He sells during fear. He buys during excitement. Both are emotionally correct and financially destructive. Karen does neither. Her brokerage account becomes psychologically invisible. The underlying mechanism is simple. Markets reward time, not timing. A broad index fund from a provider like Vanguard or Schwab removes decision points entirely. No decision points means no emotional errors. And emotional errors are the main tax most investors never calculate. There is another hidden layer that silently reshapes outcomes over decades. Fees. A 1% annual fee does not feel meaningful in any single year. But over 40 years, that single percent can erase over $100,000 from a growing portfolio. Index funds typically operate near 0.03 to 0.1% expense ratios, depending on provider. That difference is not theoretical. It compounds every year against the investor. A $10,000 investment growing at 10% with low fees ends near roughly $447,000 over 40 years. The same investment with 1% fees ends closer to $314,000. Same market, same starting point, different extraction layer. Daniel does not notice this because fees are invisible on statements. He notices trades, not decay. A second structural advantage appears in retirement accounts. In the United States system, account placement matters almost as much as asset selection. A 401k allows pre-tax contributions and tax-deferred growth. A Roth IRA allows after-tax contributions and tax-free growth. An HSA adds a rare triple tax advantage when used correctly. Each layer reduces friction that silently destroys compounding. Most people ignore this entirely and end up paying unnecessary taxes across decades. That tax leakage alone can reduce final wealth by 30 to 40% in some scenarios. Daniel compounds inside friction. Karen compounds inside structure. One of the most overlooked truths is that wealth is not only created by returns. It is preserved by systems that prevent leakage. At this point, another uncomfortable pattern appears. Most investors do not fail because of lack of information. They fail because they cannot maintain a single decision for long enough. The average investor changes strategy multiple times over a decade. Each change resets compounding momentum back to near zero in practical terms. This is where automation becomes decisive. Setting up a monthly transfer of even $100 removes decision fatigue entirely. That small transfer becomes $1,200 per year of forced discipline. Over 30 years, that discipline alone contributes over $36,000 before growth. But at market rates, it grows far beyond that. The real advantage is not the amount. It is continuity. Once continuity is broken, compounding collapses into randomness. Daniel breaks continuity repeatedly. Karen never does. There is a moment most investors never notice when it happens. It is not a crash. It is not a bull market. It is the first time they interrupt their own system. One withdrawal during fear. One pause in contributions during uncertainty. One strategic adjustment. Each of these feels rational in isolation. Together, they destroy exponential growth. The S&P 500 over long periods has produced roughly 10 to 11% nominal annual returns. But that return assumes uninterrupted exposure. Missing just the best 10 trading days over decades can cut total returns in half. Most of those best days occur shortly after the worst days. That timing trap destroys people who try to wait for safety. Safety never arrives in investable form. Daniel waits for certainty. It never comes. Karen never waits. She stays invested through every narrative cycle. Tech bubbles, financial crises, political shocks. Every headline that feels like a turning point is statistically just another line in a long graph. And over time, that graph bends upward regardless of noise. By this stage, something subtle changes in perception. Risk no longer looks like volatility. Risk looks like interruption. The real danger is not market movement. It is stepping out of the market during movement. Daniel's biggest losses are not visible on statements. They are visible in what never compounds. By the time most people realize what happened, there is nothing dramatic left to fix. No collapse. No single mistake. Just a quiet divergence that compounds for decades. Daniel looks at his statements at 65 and sees movement. Money came in, money went out, charts went up and down. But the pattern underneath is fragmentation. Karen looks at hers and sees a single uninterrupted line of exposure to growth. Roughly $400,000 emerges from one simple decision made decades earlier, plus small monthly contributions that never required attention. At the same age, Daniel's balance is significantly lower despite far more effort. That contradiction is where most people get stuck mentally. Effort feels like it should correlate with outcome. In long-term investing, it often does not. The system rewards persistence inside the market, not activity around it. A broad index structure like those offered by Fidelity Investments or Vanguard removes most of the variables that create failure. No stock selection pressure. No timing pressure. No need to predict anything. Only exposure and time remain. That simplicity is uncomfortable for most people, because it removes identity from the process. Daniel feels like he is doing investing. Karen is simply exposed to it. And exposure beats participation. Another layer appears when retirement accounts are used correctly. A 401k provides tax deferral, allowing more capital to compound upfront. A Roth IRA locks in tax-free growth if structured early enough. An HSA, when invested rather than spent, becomes a hidden long-term compounding vehicle with triple tax advantages. Each account reduces leakage. And leakage is what silently destroys long-term outcomes. Even a 1% annual drag from fees or taxes compounds into six-figure differences over 30 to 40 years. That is why two people with identical incomes can end in completely different financial realities. Not because of income, because of structure. Daniel's structure constantly extracts friction. Karen's structure removes it. There is a psychological layer that explains why Daniel cannot stay consistent. The human brain is not built for long horizons. It overweights recent events and underweights distant outcomes. A 30% market drop feels more real than 30 years of compounding. So the brain reacts to noise and ignores trajectory. This is where most financial failure happens. not in knowledge. In response timing, Daniel reacts to fear cycles roughly every few years. Each reaction interrupts exponential growth. Karen does not react at all. She is not more disciplined in the traditional sense. She simply removed decision points early enough that discipline is not required later. Automation becomes the real control mechanism. A fixed monthly transfer of even $100 becomes $1,200 per year of enforced behavior. Over 30 years, that becomes continuity that no emotional state can break. Continuity is the real asset, not intelligence, not prediction. Continuity. At a 10% long-term return, continuity turns even small inputs into large outcomes. $10,000 becomes roughly $174,500 over 30 years. Around 40 years, it crosses the $400,000 threshold if left uninterrupted. That crossing point is not magic. It is arithmetic stretched across time. But only uninterrupted arithmetic works. The moment interruption enters, the curve flattens. One of the most counterintuitive findings in decades of market data is that the worst investor behavior is often overactivity during volatility. Selling during downturns locks in losses. Re-entering late misses recovery phases. That combination permanently lowers the compounding base. And compounding base matters more than timing. Because all future returns apply to whatever remains. Not what was once there. Daniel repeatedly reduces his base. Karen never reduces hers. Another invisible factor is survivorship in behavior. Many funds disappear over time. Many strategies fail quietly. Many active approaches never persist long enough to show long-term results. Index exposure survives everything because it contains everything. It does not depend on selection. It depends on existence. That is why over long time periods, broad index exposure consistently outperforms most active strategies. Not through superiority in any single year, but through consistency across decades. By the end, the comparison is not even about investing style. It is about system design. Daniel built a system that requires constant correct decisions. Karen built a system that requires one correct decision followed by decades of non-intervention. One system demands perfection. The other removes the need for it. And over long enough timelines, systems that require less from human behavior outperform systems that require more. That is the final pattern. Not intelligence. Not effort. Not insight. System friction versus system continuity. And once that is understood, the entire illusion of active control in investing collapses into something much simpler. Most wealth is not created by doing more. It is created by stopping yourself from undoing what already works.